bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. Every tree that does not... That's enough. The chapter and verse is very clear that a good tree cannot bear bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot bear good fruit. The reason the name is wrong, that means it was a bad tree. So what do you think about that? Because from what I stand, that's the fact. What is the reason? That is the fact. Because the law says that a good tree cannot bear bad fruit. But the name that have been called by those religions are bad name. That means it's a bad tree, and it will not produce a good fruit. So why that bad tree will produce good fruit? The reason the name was false means a bad tree. How can it be possible that the bad tree will produce good fruit? If I ask you the question, Serena, it's not possible that the bad tree will produce good fruit. Because the good tree will never produce bad fruits. That means the name should have been changed. And the law says that bad tree cannot bear good fruits. So that name is already a fake name. How can that fake name will produce another name which will be believed that it is the true name? And according to book of James chapter 3 and verse 12, that can both fresh water or salt water flow from the same spring? My brothers, can a fig tree believe olives, or a grapevine bear figs? Neither can a salt spring produce fresh water. See, a fig tree cannot bear olives, and that means the salt water cannot produce fresh water. They cannot go together. If the name will be changed, that means that name is a salt spring. How can be the fresh water will be produced out of salt spring? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous that a salt spring produce fresh water, because you just forced yourself to create another name, producing a new name, and you say the name of Yahushua is true. That is a sign of not knowing how to humble oneself. If you know that Yahushua is true, humble yourself and be baptized, because that is the wise decision. Because if you die, because you are waiting for another name, and you say Yahushua's name is true, if you die, you will go straight to hell. I am not speaking ill of you, but that is the truth. Because how can you believe in that fake name, and that fake name will produce another true name? This is another disregard in the law. If you accept the wrongness of the name you've been calling, go to the true name. And someone says that if you comes to here, you must be baptized. You can come. You're not supposed to be baptized. But if you die without being baptized, that is very bad. But if you engage yourself to be baptized, you have words to speak to Yahushua about that situation. Because if you are not being baptized, there is not saying that you are saved. Because the law is, those who believe and not baptized will be saved. So your coming here, the kingdom of Yahushua, may be the way to save you and come here to have a joy with us. And if you come here to Yahushua, follow what the footstep of Yahushua is and accept what the policy of Yahushua, because Yahushua have said that accept, obey your leader, because your leader is in charge of guarding your spirit. So God used to allow that Salt Spring cannot produce fresh water. If the false name is already false, it will never produce another true name. You see, a bad tree cannot bear a good fruit. Don't be deceived that there is a name that you are waiting for, and that name will be accepted, the valid and true name. But without Yahushua, apart from Yahushua, that is another deceiving. That is really disregarding God's will. To say the least, don't get involved in that name. That's an explanation, an additional explanation of what I've explained. So read Talatuv, Revelation, from chapter verse 1, because we're going to read these chapters once. But if we read all of those chapters and verses till the end, it will take 2 years, because time flies. Time is very near. I'm going to give you the most important things. And you might have heard someone talk about the book of Revelation, but get to know the God womb with him. But if he has a false and fake God, don't listen to what he says, because even the God who sent him is a false God. How can he believe in the words he says? But listen to the words I'm speaking to you, because this is your salvation, and I hope that you will be saved. So read Talatuv, Revelation chapter 1 and verse 4. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 4. John, to the 7 churches in the province of Asia, grace and peace to you from him who is and was, who is to come, from the 7th Spirit before his throne, and from Yahushua, who is the faithful witness, the firstborn from the dead, and the ruler of the kings of the earth. As seen the book of Revelation chapter 1 and verse 4, John visited the 7 churches in the province of Asia. So the words was addressed to the Gentiles. The word was addressed to the Gentiles. There's a little bit of belly here, but I apologize for the things that made us laugh, but that's not a problem, because it's good to be merry, because nowadays time is very difficult. It's not used not to marry, not to be happy. It's not a. So John visit the 7 churches in province of Asia. That means the words was addressed to the Gentiles, but not the Jew. This means that the church in the foreign nations is involved in this wills of God. Because here, John say to the 7 churches in the province of Asia, but John did not say the words to the province of Jew, because it's the Jew who put John to jail in the island of Patmos. And God, even John might say to God that those Jews even killed Yahushua. You see, like Jonah had a talk with God, but God did not accept what Jonah said, because God said you have to go to Nineveh, but Jonah said you might change in your word and people consider me as a false God. Similar as that is Abraham, that Abraham talked to God that don't kill those people. Let me find that 50. It's good to talk with God and express yourself in front of God. But here, John visits the 7 churches in Asia. The Jew is excluded because God is not happy with the Jew. And think about this